just snorted.
I noticed. Weirdo.
Oh my god.
Welcome to Stargazing, a Stargate gazing podcast. I'm your host, Mary.
And I'm your other host, Kathy.
And each week we review an episode of Stargate alternating between SG-1 and Atlantis. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Okay.
How's your day going?
Okay. Work felt extra long today. I don't know why. Probably because I went to Costco after.
That is like extra work.
Yes. Also, we did 2 dissections in lab, which made it feel extra long as well, and it was extra smelly because of that.
Ah, excellent. Boo.
A cow eye and a fetal pig's spinal cord.
Interesting. How'd it go? Did your students learn many things?
I hope so.
Me too.
But judging by scores lately, probably not.
Oh dear.
Sadly.
Oh dear.
Oh, mother.
It's a rough session. The first session went better than this one.
Huh. Maybe people are tired of the heat and they can't study and concentrate.
I
don't know.
That school is air conditioned, and in fact is often air conditioned too much because I was freezing today.
Fair. All right. I like being inside a place that makes me forget how it's summer outside, so.
It can go too far, though. I've been having muscle tension issues because I am too cold when I am at work.
Boo.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. But that was my day. Costco was not too cold, but it was full of annoying people that were always in my way.
Yes, as is the nature of Costco.
Mm-hmm. But I did get lots of food for cheaper than it would have been elsewhere.
Excellent.
Not that it was cheap. It was still expensive because all food is way too expensive.
It
these
is
days.
true.
But cheaper than it would have been had I shopped elsewhere.
Yeah.
Not that I'm at all bitter about how stupid expensive food is.
No, you sound totally not bitter about it at all.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter either.
No, you don't sound like you're bitter. People that aren't bitter definitely go around saying, I'm not bitter about
Exactly.
Yep. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something fun.
I have no fun things. There is no fun until this session is over and I get a
I'm
brief
sorry.
break until fall starts.
I am also not having fun.
No.
Which I guess since I told everyone I got a dog, I will tell everyone that I am returning the dog to its rescue. It's going back to its foster in a couple days.
Not a good
No,
fit.
it was not a good fit. She is wonderful. She is.
She is.
She's got some needs, I think. I personally think she needs.
No, I agree. From everything that you've told me, she is a special needs doggy.
Yeah. And the main need she has is that she needs other dogs in her life.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Some dogs just really need another dog.
Yeah.
And she sounds like she's definitely one of them. Like, Coconut does not need another dog. Would not give 2 shits if Lily was gone tomorrow. Wouldn't care. But lots of dogs need to have another dog. And she's definitely sounds like she's one of those dogs. And you're not ready for 2 dogs all of a sudden, which is very understandable.
And I will also say, for the sake of honesty, I guess, that I also had a much more, I don't know how to phrase it, adverse reaction to having a dog. Like, my mental state has not been great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's fine. I just want to make sure, I don't know. I don't want to put this all on the poor doggy, that it's her that's going back. It is me too.
Just not a good fit, like I
Yeah.
said. And that's nobody's fault. It happens.
Yeah, and she's a sweetie.
Yeah. But you're doing the right thing, because some people would do the wrong thing and then just drop the dog off at the pound or give the dog to somebody else that they know that hasn't been vetted. And giving the dog back to the place that you got her from is the correct way to handle the situation.
Yeah, and they've been very nice about it.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens all the time.
Yeah, and I think I need to tell them, though, I got a message. The vet I've been going to sends text messages. It's kind of wild to me. I don't know.
Weird.
My vet, I feel like, was much old school when I had my cats. But this one sends texts about things, not just like appointment reminders, but the vet was texting me about her test results for her, because I brought in a poop sample. And I was like, oh. And then I log into the portal they have online, and the results aren't there. So the only information I have is this text message from the vet.
Weird.
It's kind of weird. But I think I need to tell the rescue that they did see some Giardia?
Giardia?
Yeah. They didn't see any cysts in her stool, but they saw the antigen test was positive.
Gotcha.
So the vet was like, well, she's not actively having diarrhea. It seems like it might have run its course and it's just working its way out of her system. But I should probably tell them that. Yeah, I've heard it also can reoccur, so...
Yeah, I don't know a ton about it, other than that it's just a parasite.
Yeah.
I would think that there could be risk of spreading it to the other doggies at the house she's going to. So they would definitely need to be aware of that, mostly because dogs eat shit.
Yes.
So if other dogs at the house she goes to ate shit, then they could get it from her.
Yeah, so I need to let them know that, but I just found that out today. So, good times.
Good times. Yeah, good times. Good times.
Yeah. Do you know who else tries to rehome some folks?
I think we already used...
Oh, we probably did.
Used a foster failure or something along those lines. But yeah, that works.
We're still working on rehoming some wraith turned humans.
Yeah, but in this case, going about it in all the wrong ways.
Indeed.
You know who doesn't know the responsible way to handle a situation where... They're not really pets, I guess.
No.
I don't know. What are we talking about,
Your
Kathy?
enemies. This is Stargate Atlantis, Season 3, Episode 2, Misbegotten. Indeed. I don't know why I pronounced that T like I'm not from Connecticut. Misbegotten, excuse me. Instead of misbegotten. Kathy. What the fuck?
Can't emphasize those T's here from Connecticut.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Don't even say the ones that are in the middle of our state's
names.
That's
true. Anyway,
Let's see. Connecticut. That would be just weird to say it that way.
Yes. But that's how you learn to spell it, right? Connecticut.
Connecticut. But we don't enunciate those T's.
No.
It's this. It's Long Connecticut. It was real.
The episode starts with a recap. Hive ships are heading for Earth. SGC can't stop them, and the Daedalus probably can't either. What Atlantis did to Michael has turned his people against him forever, but since they're the bad guys, I guess we're supposed to see it as a good thing that he's been ostracized through no fault of his own. But now he's gonna help the humans beat the Wraith, while Woolsey and the OAC question all of Weir's leadership choices. Daedalus rescues the captured members of Team Shart as well as Michael. I have no clever portmanteau for that, but I really wish I did, and I spent a long time trying to figure out what that would be. But now they're all out of air. Nope, it's fine. They turned the whole hive ship full of Wraith into humans, so now they'll just take that ship and all its air.
All right.
End recap.
Nice. Good job. Yeah.
I really was trying to figure out what Team Shart minus Taylor plus Michael would have been, and couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah. I got nothing.
But I guess he's never formally on the team anyway, so wouldn't have mattered. But I still wanted to make it work and couldn't.
Wow.
I felt like a failure.
Yeah. I mean, you should just, bow your head in shame.
It's an initialism.
Yeah.
I didn't even get the word right. Everything's wrong. Podcast over. I give up.
Thank you so much for listening to Stargate.
That's it. We're done.
Yep.
We start with a video chat between two galaxies, Atlantis and the SGC. Taylor calls Stargate Command to let them know they haven't heard anything from their people they sent out to chase after the hive ship. Taylor says she has not heard anything, but there is a hive ship headed toward Atlantis. Did we know there was another hive ship headed towards Atlantis? I can't remember.
I think they figured there were multiple ones coming. They had talked about there was probably more on the way, but they had never mentioned definitively that they knew they were on the way.
But they're expecting a hive ship to arrive at Atlantis at this point shortly, she says. So Dr. Weir orders the cloak activated. So Taylor has Technician do that. Taylor also reports they've got all their rail guns manned, and Beckett is in the control chair, ready to shoot squids.
We babies.
Weir asks to speak to him, so she gets patched through to the chair room. Beckett is not having the best time. He's not really comfortable with being in that chair. Weir says she's sorry for that, but he's the only one besides Shepard and O'Neill who's actually fired any squids. And he points out that those were the two people he almost killed when he did. Beckett's like, probably won't even need me, right? So why do I need to be in this chair? And Dr. Weir is like, well, the ship is moving towards us really fast, and they might know what's going on with us, so the cloak might not be helpful. And then it was very quick. The hive ship is there. It's, wow, very quick.
Quite speedy.
Indeed. Technician reports they're getting a signal, and we hear it's Shepard. So it's the hive ship that they commandeered from the wraith when they turned them all human.
Yeah. So not an actual other attack ship.
Yeah.
Just this one.
So as good news as there could be.
To shreds, you say?
Shepard reports they're out of food, water, and nobody's slept, but they're here. So please don't kill us, because it's us.
We are here, we are here, we are here.
Exactly. And also they have our fancy new hive ship. You wouldn't want to damage that, he says, all right? So credits.
After credits, it's apparent that the Daedalus was with them. I don't know if they towed it or just helped it get back, but they came through together, even though Atlantis had initially only been tracking the hive ship. Caldwell calls in just to check in that they're there and they're clear. Beckett is now on the hive ship, I guess, to check on all of these brand new humans. Shepard apologizes to him for sneaking up on him like that and giving him a scare. Beckett is not thrilled about that. Shepard compliments his remarkable restraint. And he also says that the retrovirus worked great. Beckett asks how many there are, and Shepard's like, well, it wasn't a full compliment to begin with, but maybe a couple hundred. They're all in stasis as of right now. Anyway, they had not actually all been in stasis, so several of them are dead because while some of them were being converted, the ones that were turned into humans first were eaten by the ones that were still wraith, so there was a little bit of infighting initially. Didn't go well. But yeah, no. Just a couple hundred are left for Beckett to worry about. It could have been worse. These hive ships could carry thousands, Shepard points out. So somehow that doesn't seem to make Beckett feel any better.
I wonder why.
Yeah. So now he's got to care for these couple hundred and keep them in human form.
Yeah.
Good times.
Definitely. Then we're back in the SGC. Woolsey is meeting with Dr. Weir. They're in the middle of a conversation. It's similar to what was happening in the last one, where the IOA really doesn't want to take any responsibility for what's going on in Atlantis, but they do want to blame Weir for everything that's going on in Atlantis, even though they're the ones who put Weir in charge.
Right.
Yeah.
This sounds very much like the board for the school that I work at, where the board was appointed by a certain legislator who leads our state, not to get too specific about it. And then that certain legislator that leads our state is talking about how our school sucks and can't manage money well, even though the board appointed the person that is in charge of managing the money that can't manage the money. And yeah.
Great.
So now our funding is cut.
Yay. Love that.
Because it's our fault that he appointed the wrong people.
Yep. All your fault. Or
Yep.
their fault.
Good
I don't
times.
know. Their conversation this time where the IOA wants to take no stance or have any responsibility is about the wraith turned humans. They're having a conversation about the wraith turned humans, but also the situation generally. They don't know, they say, whether any of the wraith on that ship turned over information about Atlantis to any other race, or about the position of Earth for that matter. Weir says Michael says the wraith didn't share any information, but, nobody, including the IOA, wants to trust Michael. It turns out the IOA didn't really consider the wraith a threat until this point because it's so far away. But if the wraith can find Earth and get there, that's a big problem. So Weir's like, well, they were the ones who didn't want Atlantis under military control. But Woolsey's like, Nothing renews your appreciation for the military like the threat of invasion from life-sucking aliens. So it sounds like the IOA is still questioning Weir's judgment and whether or not she should be in charge. And Woolsey's there to talk her through that. Or investigate her. Maybe both.
I'm a doctor, not a counterinsurgent.
He's being more empathetic in this episode than we've seen him before.
He is.
I appreciated that.
Yeah. This is on the heels of working with Stargate Command to test Vala, too. So
right.
maybe he's
yes.
Team Stargate now. Or
I knew he became a more likable character.
Yeah.
I just didn't remember exactly when that started to happen. But I guess we're kind of running out of room for that to happen, at least as far as SG-1
True.
goes. So I guess they needed to make it soon if it was going to happen. But also, by my recollection, I thought I remembered him being more of an Atlantis character than an SG-1 character. So
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what the balance was of how much time he spends over there versus over here. Anyway.
Yeah.
Next, we are in Michael's quarters. Taylor has come to visit him, and he is not very happy to see her, even though they had a kind of weird, special, I guess it's not really a special relationship. They've got a past. They've got a complicated past.
Yeah.
He is rather insulted that even though he helped them in the past and basically saved many of them, that they're still keeping him under guard anyway. But she reminds him that he's betrayed their trust in the past. He reminds her that they've kept him prisoner and also betrayed his trust in the past. And now he's being kept prisoner yet again. He can't say that he is very surprised about that, but he wasn't welcome with his own kind. So, of course, he's not going to be welcome here. She was surprised to hear about that. And so he reiterates what we learned in the last episode, that he's being viewed as this kind of unclean thing, as he says. And so even though he looks like a wraith, his people can tell the difference between what he was before and what he is now.
You're never gonna let that go, are you?
And he wants her help. He can't stay here, and he can't return to the wraith, so he wants to make his own way in the world, and he wants to get the hell out of here, and he needs supplies and a ship so that he can just go off on his own. But Taylor says they can't ever release him because he knows too much, and he knows all about Atlantis, of course, and they can't risk that he would tell people about Atlantis. So he asks that she kill him now, then. She says that there's another way, but of course that other way is to take the treatment, which he doesn't want because he's happy with how he is. He doesn't see who he is to be a disease that needs curing. He doesn't want a cure. He's happy with being a wraith. He doesn't want to be a human. He also doesn't want his consciousness to be erased. He doesn't want his history to be erased. He doesn't want to have to take a medication for the rest of his life. Taylor tries to reassure him that Beckett has made some significant advances and that they're trying to work on solutions to all of those issues. But Michael is very much not convinced about any of those things. And he also says that if she really believed that Beckett's solution was really a good one, they wouldn't have all of the wraith that had been transformed currently being held in stasis on the ship. They'd be there in Atlantis and they'd be treated with hospitality, which is obviously not happening.
No.
And he had many good points.
Yes, he did. He definitely has many good points. Unrelated, I was wondering, his mouth is not nearly as gross as other wraith.
No, he looked almost like a human hybrid in this episode, I noticed. He looked much less wraithy, and I thought that was weird because he definitely looked more wraithy in the past episodes.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like the last episode that he was in, he definitely turned more wraith after we saw him turned into a human, but then they kind of reverted him to almost like a half-human hybrid in this one, and I thought it was weird. I didn't know why. But agreed, his mouth was not as gross, and his face wasn't so shiny, and his skin was more human-colored.
Yeah, so Michael being humanized, even though he's not human-ish. Yeah.
Yes. Not quite human-colored, I
Yeah.
guess, but definitely not as full-on wraith.
Yeah, but and not as human as the Wraith Queen looked in the initial episode she was in, too.
Yeah.
Then we're back with Weir and Woolsey. Woolsey's come to see her to let her know the IOA has decided for now she can keep being in charge of Atlantis. Weir is a little surprised, but this seems to mean that they still don't trust the U.S. military, so they're not willing to put a military person in charge of Atlantis yet. Woolsey says that the delegates were actually split on this matter. So this reinstatement, he says, is just temporary, pending a detailed report on the Pegasus situation performed by Woolsey himself, who will be returning to Atlantis with Weir.
But of course, for us, the man Jesus Nazarene is not God.
Weir asks, have you ever been off base, Mr. Woolsey? And he's like, yes. That time I was nearly eaten by bugs. Weir says, we will try not to let you get killed in Atlantis this time. They are apparently going to hitch a ride with the Asgard, who are going to maybe spare a ship to let them travel there more quickly than they otherwise would be able to, because they would have to wait for the Daedalus to come all the way back, right? And then go back again? So that would be a long time.
It would, yeah. At least 2 weeks each way. So
yeah. Woolsey says he's never met an Asgard, and Dr. Weir says, you'd love them. They've got a great sense of humor. Not really.
He looked a bit worried, and then he sounded actually kind of hopeful and optimistic when she said that he was going to like them, and then he looked very sad when she said she was joking about them having a sense of humor.
Well,
emotional roller coaster for Woolsey.
Right? Well, they should put him in a room with Hermione, because I think Hermione has a good sense of humor. And is very funny and insulting to other people. But
yes. Yeah. I feel like if this was the Doctor, he and Hermione would get along well.
Yes, that is. I think that's
but
true.
As Woolsey, I'm not sure that they would get along as
Fair.
well. Yeah. Back on the Hive, McKay is trying to figure out how to make this ship more flyable to a human rather than just the weird membrane interface thing that's not a real interface. And no, he's not really making all that much progress. They can't get it to respond to anything but the most basic commands he specifies, in fact, so it's not doing them a whole lot of good. They had neural interfaces, apparently, that the Wraith were using to control these things. And so they had special genes, basically like the Atlantis genes, which means that Taylor can fly it okay because she's got some Wraith DNA. But that also means that only Taylor can fly it. And Taylor can't actually do any detailed maneuvering. She can only do just some basic flying. So they've got to figure out something else, because if they were ever to need to do anything fancy, any battles, Taylor would not be up for that. They've also got some power issues that he needs to deal with, so he needs to try to figure out how to cut down on their power consumption. The best way to do that is to get their 200 prisoners out of stasis and figure out somewhere else that is not the ship that they can keep them. Why they don't just dump them on a planet and let them revert, I don't know. But apparently what they're going to try to do is dump them on a planet and keep them human forever. We find out in a couple scenes.
Seems nuts. I wonder
sure does.
If they are worried that all of the Wraith know where Earth is. Like, did they share that information?
I guess. Yeah, maybe.
And it's not like the Wraith are going to be like, yeah, we're not going to tell anyone, obviously. Right. And we're certainly not going to try again to get to Earth. We clearly have learned our lesson.
Fair point.
Also, they might be angry for being turned human, even for a little while. It might just go...
True.
Take revenge. Oh, they also all know where Atlantis is, though, probably, because they all went there. And
I guess, but they end up putting them on a planet that supposedly has no way to leave it, although they do end up being...
Then we get a brief scene in Michael's quarters where Ronan comes in with his gun drawn. Michael's like, are you my executioner? Ronan wishes, but he just stuns Michael, while Beckett then follows in with a syringe. So they are going to, again, against his will, turn him human.
I was pissed.
Yeah, this was really, really shitty.
So shitty.
Yeah.
He's actively helped you and risked his life to help you. Come on.
Yeah. So... Bad guys.
Yes.
Naughty.
Very bad. Very naughty.
Oh, wicked, bad, naughty Zoot.
And then we're on this random planet that they've decided to dump all of these former Wraith humans that, as you said, they're going to be trying to keep them all human for whatever reason. Ronan and Shepard are walking along, and Ronan thinks it's very weird because you just see a bunch of wraith humans, elves, as we like to say, shuffling about, just kind of being. They have a good array in this episode of some okay wigs on these wraith and some truly terrible ones.
This is very true. Yeah.
And then there's like one bald guy, and how did that happen?
I thought that was weird. Right. We've never seen a bald wraith. I thought that was weird. I noticed him. I was like, what is he doing there?
Maybe he had a reaction and he lost all his hair.
Maybe. Who knows?
It's not like this drug has been through rigorous testing of any kind. So.
It's not an exact science.
Yes.
Science is whatever we want it to
be. You son of a bitch! I hate this doctor!
It's weirding Ronan out. Shepard's like, it's just a bunch of guys. But Ronan's like, I know they're actually wraith. And Shepard tells him to keep it to himself and act normal. One of the elves come up, and his name is Lathan. He asks to speak to Shepard. He's like, we've got questions. How long are we going to be here? Shepard says, that's up to Dr. Beckett to clear you. And he's like, but Dr. Beckett says he doesn't know how long. And Shepard's like, well, that just means he's not sure when your treatments will be finished or whatever. Lathan asks why it's only the men. And Shepard says the women were immune. And so were most of my people, conveniently. We're just here to help you. So stop asking questions and just do what we say. And there's nothing I can do for you until Beckett clears you. So, bye.
I thought it was really shitty how dismissive Shepard was. They've given them the pretense that they're here under quarantine because of some fake plague that's hit their planet. And so it is understandable that this guy would be concerned about not having any memory and wanting to go home. And Shepard was just very dismissive. And I know that none of that is true, but it's understandable Lathan would be concerned. And even though he used to be a wraith, maybe give him a little consideration there, Shepard.
Yeah. Wraithan.
Yeah. Wraithan. How does anyone know his name is Lathan? Anyway, no one remembers anything.
That's true. Lathan seems like somebody who's not Shepard named him.
Yes. Shepard probably would have called him George or something.
Yeah, and hopefully whoever named him didn't mock him while they were naming him.
Right, while he was screaming.
Yeah, yeah.
Inside the infirmary tent where Shepard was going while Lathan was trying to talk to him, Beckett is there, sciencing. He's got many vials of stuff that are presumably the retrovirus. Shepard asks how it's going. Beckett needs more time. Shepard thinks that Beckett should be doing the research on Atlantis, but Beckett refuses to leave all of the people here on this planet, so that's not going to happen. Beckett's going to stay here and do his research in this tent from now on, at least until he's got a better solution to the issue that's going to be more permanent than the version of the retrovirus that they have now. Shepard reminds Beckett that the plan had been to just leave them here, and they apparently have taught at least some of them to administer the drugs themselves, so Shepard sees nothing wrong with just leaving them with a bunch of retrovirus and trusting that they're all going to keep dosing themselves. That sounds like a very terrible plan, so I can understand why Beckett would have some concerns. Also, you would probably have so many cases of sepsis.
Oh, God, yeah.
if they were to do that.
I was just thinking Shepard's clearly never met an anti-vaxxer, so...
Yeah. Also that, yes.
Just trust them to do that. Sure.
Right. Yes. And Beckett does remind Shepard that he's doing more here than just sticking needles in arms. He's trying to make sure that none of them are actually reverting because, remember, the whole point is to make sure that they are staying human and not turning back into wraith so that they can then try to contact or communicate telepathically with other wraith that might be out somewhere. Shepard says the planet's got no gate. They've got no way off the planet. I guess we're not supposed to remember it yet that they can communicate telepathically, but whatever. They can.
They can.
Yeah. Ronan is there too and asks if anybody has started to remember anything, but it doesn't seem that they have. The drug is keeping them stable as long as they get a daily dose. But they can't stay here forever just babysitting them, so they've got to figure out something that's going to be more permanent. Beckett asks if they're going to make him just abandon them all here if he can't figure out anything that's more permanent, and Shepard says, yep, that's the plan. Ronan says, worst case scenario, they're all going to turn back into wraith, and then they're just going to starve to death or feed on each other or whatever, which I thought we had already figured out wraith can't feed on each other, but...
Yeah, I can't remember where we...
Yeah.
But, yeah. But apparently they can.
I guess. Yeah.
Maybe we're misremembering. I don't know.
Well, there was the recent episode where the queen waited until the guy had been turned into a human and then tested on him to see if she could eat him. And when she was able to eat him, she said, yes, it works. So that's where I was like, I guess they can't eat other wraith.
Maybe she
Otherwise,
just wanted to make sure it was tasty.
I guess.
And filling,
maybe.
you know? They didn't just turn him into a human on the outside and it was kind of like a Twinkie and sort of junky on the inside when you suck his life. I don't know.
Fair. Yeah, fair. Anyway, Shepard does not like this plan that Beckett has to stay there, but Shepard's got to get back. So long story short, Shepard's going to head back to Atlantis. Beckett is going to stay behind, and Shepard will be leaving a security team with Beckett.
What could go wrong?
Absolutely nothing, I am sure. Yeah, there'll be a resupply mission at some point, so Beckett will be here for a couple weeks until that happens. And nothing is going to go wrong in the meantime.
Nope. It'll be perfectly fine.
No. Yes.
Then we're in another tent in this encampment. Lathan goes in to talk to some other wraith who are there. They ask what he said, speaking about Lathan's conversation with Shepard. Lathan's like, nothing. He's not telling us anything, and he's hiding something, Lathan says. And then human Michael is there, and he's like, what are they hiding? And Lathan says he doesn't know, but I don't remember anything about the things they've told us, and that's kind of suspicious. And this Michael is very credulous. He's like, yeah, memory loss is one of the symptoms. Lathan's like, how do you know that's true? These people could have told us anything. We don't know them. But Michael's like, they're helping us. And Lathan's like, keeping us here with almost no food and no clue about when we can leave? That's not good enough. Good for you, Lathan. Good for you.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Another one of the elves, I'm just going to keep calling them elves because I don't want to keep saying wraith or
they
humans.
are elves.
Another one of the elves is like, they've only got a handful of soldiers. We so outnumber them. Maybe. And Lathan's like, well, they've got a ship, so maybe if we have hostages, but Michael is having none of this. Michael's like, what if it's true? What if we carry a plague somewhere else? Should we risk that? And Lathan's like, no, we gotta do something. We're gonna be stranded here if that ship leaves us here. But the other wraith seem to be on Michael's side, at least at this time. So Lathan storms out. He's so right. They should totally do that.
Yep. Yeah. No, Lathan is right in this situation. And I felt bad for Michael again because he's standing up for them, even though they have now betrayed him twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back on Atlantis, Caldwell and Woolsey are having a chat. I thought this was weird because they're leaning over a railing, which we don't see exactly what is below them, but Caldwell has a cup of coffee that is resting on the railing. And I was like, what if he knocks that cup of coffee off and it splatters on hot coffee on someone or a mug on someone's head? And then Woolsey starts peeling an orange and putting the orange peel on the railing.
I am so glad.
It was a weird scene.
I definitely also zeroed in on this as well. So, yeah.
I was like, what the hell is happening here?
Why are you...
Railings are not the place for coffee or orange peels.
No, they're not. And it definitely wasn't the railing like outside. So it wasn't like going to go over
it was
ocean.
Not. Yeah.
It was going to go over people.
It was. They were definitely indoors, and by the background noise, it sounded like there were a lot of people down below them because it was mostly like wall behind them. So it would stand to reason that the noise of like people talking was coming from below.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
Agreed.
Yeah, so anyway, Woolsey is here to join Caldwell, who's just standing at this railing drinking his coffee like you do. They have a little chat about how Woolsey is settling in. He's in an Atlantis uniform. Caldwell says that Woolsey would stand out more in a suit and tie, but Woolsey thinks he would stand out anywhere because somehow people always recognize him and know that he's there to keep an eye on them and report back, basically.
I have a terrible headache.
So you could get a little bit of sympathy here for Woolsey feeling like he's always an outsider everywhere that he goes. So even here, Caldwell has made it clear that he isn't seeing this as just a friendly chat with Woolsey. He's figuring that Woolsey is looking for information from Caldwell, even though it's actually not clear if that is what Woolsey is doing here. It does almost seem like Woolsey is kind of just looking to have a chat and not officially interviewing Caldwell. Caldwell is pretty sure that Woolsey is trying to do an informal, formal interview, basically, and points out that he's the commander of the Daedalus, and he doesn't answer to the IOA unless he's directed to, so he's not going to answer any of Woolsey's questions.
It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt.
Woolsey says that the only reason that he's not the military commander of Atlantis is because Dr. Weir insisted that Colonel Shepard be posted there instead, so if she were to leave, wouldn't that make him most likely the one to take over for Atlantis? Caldwell, again, reminds us that the IOA doesn't want this place to be militarized anyway, so it doesn't matter. So basically at the end, it almost seems like Woolsey's trying to see if he can get Caldwell to say anything bad about Dr. Weir, since if Dr. Weir wasn't around, Caldwell would be in charge, but Caldwell is not going to say anything bad about Dr. Weir, is the gist of this conversation towards the end.
Yeah. Then Woolsey throws his orange peels at Caldwell, and Caldwell throws his coffee in Woolsey's face. So we didn't have to worry about the people below after all.
Yep.
Yeah. Back on the planet, Shepard hasn't left yet, but he is herding people and packing up. He gives...
Herding.
Ah, sorry.
Okay. I was like, wait, I don't remember this part. Okay.
He was beating them with sticks.
How did I miss that?
Yeah. Shepard is getting the last of his people together who are getting on the ship.
We do tend to not enunciate our T's here in Connecticut, as we said before, so that's why I wasn't sure if you had meant herding as in hurting or herding as in herding.
No, I meant the D. Shepard gives Beckett one last chance to come with them. Beckett's like, hold on though, we have a problem. Lathan is missing. He didn't show up for his treatment and no one's been able to find him. Beckett turns to Michael and is like, has anyone seen Lathan? And Michael, who is in the vicinity, is like, no, but... And I guess Michael's been tattling on Lathan to Beckett about their conversation, which, again, Michael's just trying to help and is too trusting of these people.
Yep.
But doesn't know he shouldn't be.
Yep.
So he tells to Shepard that Lathan has his suspicions and thinks that they are being lied to. He's like, you're doing your best. I tried to tell him, but he wouldn't listen. So Shepard's like, oh, so he's not lost. He's hiding. Beckett suggests they find him as soon as possible before any symptoms reoccur. They're going to get a search party together. Michael says he and his fellow wraith would like to help because Lathan is one of them. So I guess everyone's going to go look for Lathan.
Yay. Yeah. And then we're out in the forest looking for Lathan. Shepard's out there, Ronan's out there, everybody's looking around, nobody's having any luck finding him. Except for the wraith. Michael finds him. As well as, I guess they're not really wraith. Well, they are actually kind of wraith at this point. They are looking a little bit more wraithy. Are they looking wraithy?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I guess they're not really wraith. They're still elves at this point. They find him and ask what he's doing out here. Lathan missed his treatment, and so now Michael and the other elves are very angry, but Lathan says he's starting to remember things, and he's just having flashes, but definitely there's some things coming back to him, and these people are not being honest. They're not curing them of anything. They're just keeping them this way for some reason. He doesn't really know what, but they need to make their move, and they need to make it quickly, but Michael says Lathan should have just stayed in the camp, and he gives him a very evil-looking smile.
Yeah.
As he and his other elves surround Lathan.
Yeah. Not great.
No.
Meanwhile, in the other part of the forest, one of Shepard's people radios to him to let him know they've found him. They are up on a ridge, and they think Lathan must have been trying to climb this ridge, or up or down, not sure, and fell. And he's dead. That's bad.
Yes.
Next, we're in Beckett's tent, and Lathan's already been brought back. His body's on a slab. One of the other elves is there and lets Beckett know he's prepared some injections for his fellow elves. Beckett tells him to go on, that he's done it a dozen times. He's going to be fine. He can just administer the injections himself. The elf, his name is Merrick, we hear in this scene, asks if Beckett is going to examine the body. And Beckett says, well, the cause of death is obvious. He has a broken neck, but I could do some tests and maybe something will come out of this if I get some more information for my research. So Beckett's going to do an autopsy on Lathan.
Necropsy.
Sorry, excuse me. I'm still going to call it an autopsy.
I guess the dude is technically still human.
Yeah.
I'll allow
He only
it.
missed one injection for a little while.
Yeah. I guess I'll allow it this one time, Kathy.
Thank you.
Just don't let it happen again.
Oh, I'm going to let it happen all the time. All the time.
Bitch.
Yep.
Later, in Atlantis, we're in the briefing room with Dr. Weir and Team Shart. Dr. Weir is delighted to be back. This is the first time that she has seen them since, I don't know, weeks? I don't know how long she's actually been gone. They don't really say, but it's been a while, and she's very happy to be there again. She's at a loss for words, and Shepard says she doesn't have to say how she actually feels. Taylor says that they feel the same way, and Rodney's like, what, hungry? Me too. Trying, of course, to get her to say how she actually feels. Taylor did actually try flying the Wraith ship and says that the neural interface is quite exhausting. And this is where Rodney clarifies that, yes, she can fly the ship, but she can't really do any maneuvering. So they are going to have to find something better than just Taylor flying the ship. But at least they have someone that can control it. So that's better than nothing. They ask Rodney if he can fly it. He asks if standing still counts as a maneuver. Shepard says no. In that case, no, he cannot do any maneuvering. Woolsey comes in, and apparently he's going to be joining them for the senior staff meetings from now on. And he asks what he missed, and Rodney's just about to run down all the progress he's made adapting hive controls. Woolsey is delighted. He seems pretty happy to be here and interested in what they're about to talk about. And surprisingly, nobody on Team Shart seems to be all that surprised he's there, and nobody protests that he's there. So I was actually a little bit surprised that nobody complained about his presence. And they just continued on business as usual. So that was good.
Yeah.
I guess.
Maybe Weir was like telegraphing some like leave it alone vibes. Like,
yeah, we got to deal with this for now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just suck it up.
Yeah. On the planet, Beckett's doing some investigating. He's gone back to where they found the body because he thinks there might be a problem. And that is that there isn't a lot of blood on the ground where they found Lathan, and his heart maybe wasn't pumping when he fell, so maybe he didn't die falling down. His neck was snapped, but maybe somewhere else by someone else who might be trying to make it look like an accident by positioning him on the ridge there. Then he's going to head back. So we see him doing this, and we know what's going on because he's radioing with one of the guys Shepard left behind. We see at the end that there are some elves standing around near the guy that Beckett was radioing to, very interested in everything that's going on, this conversation.
Back in the briefing room, Woolsey is interviewing Shepard.
It was about the science. His methodology was flawed.
And I was surprised to actually be on Woolsey's side of this conversation. He's telling Shepard that it appears that the lies that they're telling these people, meaning the elves, are starting to wear thin. Shepard says that it's just one bad reaction out of 200, but Woolsey basically says that their plan for the planet and the elves is bad, and what the hell were you thinking? How did you think this was going to work? It's mean and cruel, and what are you doing down there, basically? It was the gist of the conversation. Shepard says that they did what they had in order to survive. Woolsey says, I'm sure it seemed like a good idea at the time, but this isn't a long-term solution, and there really doesn't seem to be any possible long-term solution. There's no way to integrate them into any human society, and we can't just leave them there as 200 people on this abandoned planet, so we got to figure out a better solution for this, essentially.
Yeah. They should send them to Rivendell.
Yes, exactly.
Me goes there. Me go and see the elves. Oh, my.
Which I keep wanting to call Riverdale because of that game that we play at Colin's game night.
Everdell?
Frequently. Yes, exactly. Yes, that's it.
Now I want candy.
Yes, me too. Tootsie Rolls. Because the little log pieces in that look like Tootsie Rolls.
That game, if anyone doesn't know, really makes you want to put game pieces in your mouth because they look like candy.
They all look like candy. They are not candy,
No.
but they look like candy and I want to eat them.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, the end of this conversation makes it sound like all of the decision for this plan was Dr. Weir's, even though it really wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, she went along with the plan, but it wasn't her plan. It was mostly Shepard's plan, I think,
would
really.
guess so, yeah.
And, I mean, like, it was an emergency plan that they had to get air. So
They had to get air.
Dr. Weir wasn't even involved in the initial decision to turn them into humans. I'm sure she was involved with the decision to put them on Earth, but Rodney ultimately decided they needed to get them off the ship. So it was a combination of multiple people involved. It wasn't just Dr. Weir. So I thought it was weird that he was making it sound like it was her choice, the whole plan. But in any case, he's saying I supported Elizabeth's decision to form an alliance with Michael and to put those people on the planet and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah.
Woolsey has the very good point that his support of that plan hardly shines through when Shepard hesitates to call them people, because he did hesitate before saying that word.
Yeah. Then we're back on Atlantis. Shepard goes to see Weir. He's pretty cranky about Woolsey. He asks Weir how much trouble it will cause if he knocks Woolsey in the head. He rants for a moment about this. She asks what Woolsey said to him, and he's like, well, other than judging all decisions you've ever made? Weir asks, are you defending my honor?
He wasn't really doing that from what we saw of the conversation anyway.
No, but I guess we only saw a snippet of their conversation.
True.
And he's feeling judged for agreeing with Weir's decisions. Weir, though, is like, yeah, don't be that hard on him. Of everything that's going on, he's like the least harmful thing that's happening right now. And he might even be on our side. He might convince other people to just let us be as we are. So Shepard agrees to not knock him in the head. But Weir appreciates the sentiment that he was defending her honor.
Back out in the forest, Beckett has not made his way back yet. Instead, he sees an elf, or at least the back of a person that looks like an elf, heading off through some trees, and he decides to follow him. He tries to radio to Morrison, but doesn't get an answer. He keeps following that person, and he sees a circle of elves around a campfire, except that those elves are looking and sounding pretty wraithy. Ooh. They're humming, they've got their hands up overhead, they're chanting, and then Michael's there, and Michael is looking pretty wraithy. Not fully wraithy, but definitely not human or elf either. So, as Beckett is continuing to try to get Morrison on the radio, Michael tells him that the lieutenant and his men are indisposed.
No, Lieutenant, your men are already dead.
Beckett tries to convince Michael that he's sick. Michael, of course, is not falling for that at this point and is pissed off that he was betrayed yet again, and says that as angry as he was the first time, he's that much more angry now, which is very understandable. Beckett asks why they all killed Lathan, and they said it was because he was stirring up trouble. They needed to wait until Shepard had left with the soldiers so that they had a chance to do what they are doing now, which is trying to contact a wraith ship without being disturbed by a whole bunch of soldiers.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
Oops. Shocking that things have gone so wrong so quickly.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Who'd have thought?
Definitely not me. I thought this was a foolproof plan.
It did seem very foolproof.
Yeah. Then we're in the control room. Weir and Shepard arrive to ask Rodney what they've got. And Rodney says they've picked up a hive ship headed straight for the planet. Beeline right there.
Great.
Yeah, that's great. So good. So good that they need to then immediately have a conference about it. Team Shark gathers with Weir and Woolsey. to talk about the situation. Rodney says there's no reason the Wraith would be interested in that planet. There's no Stargate and no history of humans living there, so why would they go there? Woolsey's like, maybe there's a leak. And he thinks maybe not necessarily amongst their people, but maybe one of the many people they've met along the way. And he looks over at Taylor and she is like, it is not an Athosian. Fuck you, man. More or less. Woolsey asks, but aren't there humans who worship the Wraith? Maybe they could have infiltrated. But Weir and Shepard put an end to this because they're like, if the Wraith knew that much and had infiltrated that much, they would head to Atlantis and not just go to this small planet with a couple hundred of their people on it. Weir says, for now, we need to focus on getting the folks on that planet off because if the Wraith figure this out, that ship will be there in 2 days. Rodney says they could beat them on the Daedalus. However, the Daedalus' hyperdrive is still offline and won't be ready for at least another 24 hours. Shepard asks, maybe we take the Hive ship then. Rodney says they'd be cutting it close, but that seems to be their only chance. So Weir asks if they had a ship-to-ship encounter, what would happen? Rodney's like, it wouldn't be good. So she just tells them to do what they can on the way because they really don't have another choice but to send the Hive ship. So that's what they're going to do. It's going to go great. Just as great as the rest of these plans.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Next, we are back in the infirmary tent. Beckett and Michael are in there having a chat. It turns out that there's not too many people that have been reverted yet. It's the ones that Beckett saw in the forest, plus a few more, however many that is. And most of them are actually still being dosed and kept as humans so that they can be served up as offerings to the Hive or used as food by the ones that have reverted back into their wraith form here. So that's great.
Yum, yum.
Beckett says that that's hardly bloody fair. But Michael says that strong survive, and the few who began to realize that something was wrong all got together and formed a plan. So those that are still in human form had weaker minds. Otherwise, they would have stopped taking their drugs too. Beckett says that if Michael was truly remembering what happened, then he should remember what happened the last time that he tried to rejoin the Wraith. But Michael doesn't care. He just wants to get off of this planet, and then he'll worry about the rest of it after that. Beckett, probably worth mentioning, is restrained to a chair at this point, not just like chilling there. They're not just having a friendly conversation. He's strapped to a table and reclined. Beckett wants to know why he's still kept alive because pretty much everybody else from Atlantis has been killed at this point. But Michael says that Beckett is actually very valuable and he might not even realize exactly how valuable he is. Beckett tries to keep convincing Michael that there's no way off of this planet, but again, as we know, the Wraith have telepathic powers, and they've already contacted a ship which is on its way there, as we've already seen. Michael starts threatening Beckett with torture and taking years off of his life in order to get answers out of him, even though he hasn't actually asked Beckett for any information at this point, so I don't really know exactly what he's looking for.
He asked what kind of failsafe Shepard left behind.
Oh, okay. I missed that part. There it is. Yeah. Yes, he wanted to know what kind of failsafe was left behind on the planet, right? But the only failsafe was that they assumed there was no way off of this planet because they didn't realize that the Wraith's telepathic powers would be able to reach that far out into space, that they'd be able to call a Hive ship from somewhere else. Also, they assumed that in human form, they wouldn't be able to use their telepathic powers. So, yeah, no failsafe. Michael says he doesn't like to question military men because they're like Wraith warriors, unimaginative and rigid thought patterns. But Beckett has been trained to have an open mind and empathy towards others, so he's more fun to question, apparently. So he's going to begin torturing Beckett. And then we get a view in space of the Hive ship.
I can't necessarily say that Michael's not justified in torturing Beckett, maybe a little, given what Beckett's done to him. I don't know.
I would not say that torture is ever
not justified, but I understand that Michael wants to hurt Beckett.
Beckett was at least trying to help, whereas here, Michael is torturing just for the sake of torturing.
How is Beckett helping turning him human a second time?
He's not, but he was trying to help. He thought he was doing the right thing.
I guess.
As he's said many times, sees being a wraith as something that needs curing. And that is definitely the wrong mindset, as we've said many, many times. But he's at least trying to help. And for that, I don't feel like he deserves to be tortured. But again, it is still very wrong.
Maybe Michael is just trying to help his people and himself to get off this planet.
True. But still, torture, bad.
Well, yes.
Do you want to be certified in the use of enhanced interrogation techniques?
On the Atlantis hive ship, Taylor is flying. She's concentrating hard. She's got her eyes closed. Shepard asks Rodney if they've got weapons. Rodney says, sort of. They can fire, but not in any particular direction. Shepard is not pleased with that answer and tells him he needs to do better. Rodney's like, of course, I want to survive more than anyone, as usual. We're using a lot of power to maintain our high speed to get there first, and we're not going to have a lot left to fight with, regardless of whether he can get weapons to fire in a specific direction. Shepard says we're going this fast to avoid fighting, and just keep working. So Rodney gets back to work. Then we're in Atlantis, where the Daedalus is orbiting. Caldwell radios to Weir to let him know they're actually ready to go. They've gotten the hyperdrive going. Even though Hermiad is not happy to be going so soon after fixing it, that it may not be quite ready, they gotta go. And he's gonna just suck it up, Hermiad. Caldwell says Colonel Shepard will appreciate our help, so we're headed out.
Back on the hive ship, they drop out of hyperspace. Taylor's doing okay. She says that she thinks that they're in stable orbit, and they're all right for the time being.
Yeah.
Shepard asks to be patched through to the camp, and Rodney tries to do that. But before he gets the chance, a bunch of secondary systems come online all of a sudden. Shepard is delighted. Rodney is very concerned, though, because he didn't do it. They woke up by themselves. And that really only means one thing, which is the presence of a bunch of wraith. And so that's bad because they realize that, oh shit, a bunch of people down on the planet have turned back into wraith. They scan the planet and realize, yep, there are, in fact, a bunch of wraith signs down there. 20 or 30, Rodney says specifically. There are still well over 100 human life signs down there, so there are still a bunch that are not fully reverted back yet. Probably some of those wraith are going to be feeding on some of those humans. Taylor asks if they can tell if Beckett and Morrison and his team are any of those human life signs, but no, Rodney can't distinguish the different life signs from each other. He can only tell that they are human or wraith, not specific humans or wraith.
Shepard, Taylor, and Ronan leave Rodney behind on the bridge, but radio to him to ask how they could have contacted a ship this far out. Rodney's like, I have no idea. Taylor, how about you? And she says a group of them acting together could communicate over larger distances. How she knows that, I don't know. Shepard's like, live and learn. Shepard, Taylor, and Ronan were headed to a puddle jumper they have put on this wraith ship. Shepard then is like, how about our failsafe device? What kind of kill zone are we looking at? So he did leave something behind. Beckett was lying, or he didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Rodney says everything in a 3-mile radius is toast if they set off this failsafe. So it's some kind of giant bomb. Taylor asks what happens to the ones who are still human, and Ronan's like, well, nothing we can do for them. Not that Ronan gives a shit about any of the human wraith on the planet. Rodney's like, we could not incinerate them. But Shepard says if Michael remembers, they all might know about Atlantis, and they might know about Earth, and we have no other choice but to set off their failsafe, which it turns out is a nuclear device.
Right.
So that's neat. And then they fly out in the puddle jumper.
They do. They make their way to the camp. They take out the wraith that are guarding the infirmary tent and make their way in to help Beckett, who is still alive, but barely. And they help him out of there. They get Carson back to the puddle jumper, and Shepard radios to Rodney, who's still back on the hive ship. Once they have cleared the planet far enough, Shepard tells Rodney that they're clear, go ahead and set off that failsafe. Rodney sets it off, counts down 3, 2, 1, and then nothing happens. Out somewhere in the forest, we see Michael and Merrick and a couple other wraith sitting there looking at the bomb, and the bomb is flashing. And Michael tells them, see, that's what they really think of us. I deactivated it. Otherwise, that would have exploded in our faces and we'd all be dead. So good thing he knew how to deactivate human bomb technology?
Yeah. You learn a lot just by getting an injection of humanness.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they did get access to the computers.
True. That's true.
He probably had some bomb schematic plans or something that he was able to study.
Also, maybe the Wraith are like, this is a rudimentary bomb. These humans are dumb.
Also, yes, this is also true. Yeah, good point. Good point. They have no idea what happened or what didn't happen, rather. They don't know why the bomb didn't go off the way that it was supposed to. So instead, they try firing on it from the ship. They can't really aim that well, but Rodney can at least aim in the general direction of one place on the planet and does his best to fire on it as the other hive ship comes out of space. I did like that Rodney says that he couldn't hit the side of a barn. And when Shepard starts to say that hive ships are 100 times, Rodney interrupts him and says, a giant flying barn. We couldn't hit that. It was very silly. Yeah. Anyway, the other hive ship comes through and starts firing on them immediately, and it is not looking good. Their shields are down, and this ship is very clearly about to explode. They are venting atmosphere, and their power is about to fail, and we just see a look from outside as the ship has all kinds of explosions going off everywhere.
Then the Daedalus arrives. They observe some debris from the hive ship, and there is no hive ship, it's just debris. So that doesn't look good. They're not seeing any life signs either. Or any life signs on the planet. But then we hear on the radio Shepard's voice again, telling him, come in. Caldwell asks where they are, and Shepard realizes, oops, he forgot to turn off the cloak. So the wraith ship that was there firing on them destroyed the ship and then just left, but the team got into the puddle jumper. Oh, I did do that, puddle jumper. And they are A-okay. With 5 life signs aboard, Shepard is very happy to see Caldwell because otherwise it would be a very long ride home in the puddle jumper that is not for long range. So yay, everyone's relieved.
Yeah. Did we mention that we don't know if there are any life signs on the planet because they scanned, but it doesn't seem there are any?
I said
they really tell.
It said I'm not getting anything, which I interpreted as there are no life signs.
Okay.
So yes, I did say that.
Yeah, but we don't know for sure if it was because everybody died or because they got beamed up by the wraith.
That is true. That is true. Although they don't talk about that. That's just...
They don't.
Yeah.
Finally, we are in Dr. Weir's office with Woolsey, and they are talking about the fact that they are not certain if any of the wraith on the planet survived. Weir says, no, they're not certain, but she was more concerned about her own people at the time, which Woolsey says is understandable. And Weir says, of course, it's her fault. They were in that position in the first place, and if she had just disposed of the prisoners, none of that would have happened. And of course, that's what you're going to write in your report, isn't it? But Woolsey says, no, it was your decision to fire on the camp from orbit. And that allowed your team to escape. Weir is pretty confused because she wasn't there and that wasn't her decision. But Woolsey says, well, it would have been your decision, hypothetically, if you had been there. So that's what's going in my report, that was your decision. It's close enough. And that's really all that matters. So maybe don't argue. You should be here, and that's what's going in my report, that you should stay in charge. And then he leaves and asks a technician in the gate room to dial Earth, please. So turns out Woolsey is not quite the bad guy that he started off as.
Yeah. Yeah.
End of episode.
Yeah.
Did you like the episode?
I mean, not particularly, because, again, it's... The people were supposed to like acting in very questionable ways.
Yeah.
Again, doing that twice to Michael is really like, that's my limit. I'm like, I'm done with you guys. So I don't know. It's kind of weird to be like, how can we keep being entertained by this in a lighthearted way when they're making these like very dark, very terrible decisions doing war crimes? But here we are. Next week we'll be like, ha 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 ha. Oh, it's Richard Kind. Or not next week, the next time we do this one. Because I already looked ahead and saw what was coming up.
Richard Kind is in this?
He's in the next Atlantis episode, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Oh, okay. Okay, well.
Maybe I'll remember it when I read the description, but I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I had a hard time with it because what they're doing is terrible, but at the same time, it's hard to know what they really should have done given the circumstances they have, because they can't just leave them to convert back to wraith on this planet, because the wraith then call other wraith and they end up in a situation where they might be discovered anyway. So I don't know what the best option for them would have been. I mean, mass murder's not great, but Daniel's mass murdered hagfish babies before, so maybe it's fine. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm struggling with this a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those situations where there are no good solutions. Yeah. So I don't have a better answer. What they did was shitty. I don't have any better options that they could have done instead. Yeah. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, what were your thoughts on the episode? Did you like it?
Pretty much the same thing. I don't know what a better solution would have been, but it's still really shitty. I hate that they betrayed Michael twice, but again, he is spent his entire life killing humans.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's a good guy, but at the same time, he likes who he is and doesn't feel like he needs to be fixed. And they're insistent on fixing him and helping him when he doesn't want help or feel like he needs help. And they're doing really shitty things there on Atlantis to other people. So yeah, I don't like it. I don't like this story arc at all.
No.
Boo. No. Yeah. The episode definitely did have some entertaining moments to it for sure, but I just don't like the whole story there.
I hear that.
Yeah, if I want to be watching shit like that, I will go turn on the news.
True. Yes. Yeah. Oh, fun. News is great. What's not in the news but aired like 20 years ago that we'll be watching next?
Stargate SG-1 Season 10 Episode 3 The Pegasus Project. According to the booklet, SG-1 travels to the Pegasus Galaxy and the city of Atlantis in hopes to find a clue to a weapon that can destroy the Ori.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like crossover episodes.
Not just Woolsey.
Indeed. Yeah. And then according to TVDB, Daniel and Vala travel to Atlantis, not all of the SG-1 team. I wonder which one is this going to be like where it used to talk about how just Jack was doing everything?
Maybe.
Daniel and Vala travel to Atlantis in search of Merlin's anti-Ori weapon, while Sam and Mitchell join forces with Dr. McKay to lock out the Ori supergate. What's Teal'c doing with all of this
That's
going
a good question. Why aren't you talking about Teal'c, booklet?
Yeah. I want to know what Teal'c's doing. And also, it does sound like all of SG-1 is there, probably, unless Teal'c isn't there.
Unless Rodney went to Earth? I don't know. Anyway. Yeah.
Possibly?
So that's next time.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening to Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary. Our fully listener-supported program couldn't be done without you. Show your support by telling everyone you know how awesome this show is. Find us at stargatesing.space. Reach us by email, stargatesing@gmail.com. Find us on social media at Blue Sky. Get some merch, tinyurl/stargatesing. And finally, show your financial support at patreon.com/stargatesing. Thank you for traveling through the gate with us. Catch you next time on Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary.
I'm Mary.
I'm Kathy.
And you've been listening to Stargatesing, the end.
The end.
This was extra long somehow.
It was. Oh, indeed. Well,
I don't know why.